All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the season finale of Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh
What?
yeah.
I can't believe we're here already. I
Well,
know
what's
it,
good?
I know when we started episode 1, everyone was already saying like, "Man, 6 episodes!" Like, whoa, that's so short, and it definitely felt like I mean, the show was so good that week after week I was like, I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for next week. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy that we're finally here at the end of the show. We're at the season finale, episode 6. And yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, just kind of give me just sum it up in one word. In one word, the whole series and the episode. Try to fill it into one word. What do you think?
Marvelous.
Fantastic.
Marvelous and fantastic. I'm trying to think of some. I'm thinking just like, I don't know. I'm just proud. For me, I'm just like, it's just so much pride and just like this kind of like feeling of like we fucking did it,
We did it together.
We did it together, dude. One world, one people. But yeah, I mean, just I guess to kick off the discussion about the episode, what we definitely wanted, things happened, people said things, all that good stuff, and we're gonna try to touch it base to base to base. But I mean, the episode basically kicks off like pretty strong. It's just
it's right into that.
yeah. I mean, and it made sense because the last episode ended with say it back. What was it? The last episode ended with them taking over that little meeting that they were having for the patch. The patch act.
Mm-hmm.
And
we
so
got to see what's his name in his arts and crafts project.
Yeah. and I can't. I'm just so glad that they really went for it all with Sam's suit. Oh my god, what did you guys think of the suit?
I mean, it was pretty good. I liked it.
I popped off.
I was very surprised that. Yeah, I mean, I had my mind was totally different from what it was gonna be. I mean, the color scheme was fine, right? The red, white, and blue, and he had his red goggles and stuff like that. I didn't think he would have the wings. I felt
that surprised
like
me too.
Yeah, I felt like that was kind of like, oh yeah, you keep him, Joaquin, and he gets to keep him. And so I thought it was like, oh, he's done being the Falcon. He's done flying around, but no, he just basically got new wings with his new suit. So I thought it was cool. And I don't even know if the suit's even vibranium or anything. I think it's just a suit, right? Like nothing crazy.
I'm not sure how much in detail they're gonna go with that. I mean, maybe in the future we'll get more. But obviously it came from Wakanda. I'm pretty sure Wakanda's not just throwing around vibranium whenever they want, but they do have some of the most advanced tech in the world. Like even Black Panther's suit, while it is vibranium, it has extra modifications and things that Shuri has done to it to make it stand out. And so I think while it, in hindsight, I'm sure maybe a couple months from now or so, people will say, oh, okay, it feels a little rushed. It's weird how Bucky asked for a favor and they just make a suit that has a red wing with little mini red wings, and they all Sam knows how to work it properly, stuff like that. Little minuscule things that you can break down.
Yeah, there's a lot of rush to this. I didn't want to describe the series as rush because obviously it deserved more praise than that. We'll go into it, but I definitely got a feeling that this ending was hella rushed. Like, if we could have gotten maybe 20 more minutes, it would have been fine. But
yeah.
Captain
and Golden in the chat both say, Captain says he's happy they incorporated the wings, and Golden says, I'm pretty sure the wings are vibranium because they deflected a fucking helicopter. So, I mean, I know when they're on the bridge and he's defending that guy, the shield's at the top and then the wings are around them. So, I don't know if it was just the shield and that got the most of it, and then the wings helped, or if it was just the entirety of the cradle. But overall, I think it never occurred to me that since he gave the wings away and he told Torres to keep them, I didn't think that he was gonna get a suit without them. For some reason in my mind, I'm just like, why take away Falcon's moveset and what he's known for and his expertise with flying those things, and then just get rid of it completely. So I for one, the way his entrance with the suit, where he like flings the shield and then flies in through the window. Like,
That shit
man,
was awesome.
yeah, it's so sick, and it's like he's not there to talk about the suit. He's not there to pose. He's just straight into the action, and I was like, man, hell
Straight.
yeah,
Yeah, he's straight ready to bust some ass.
yeah. And
Yeah.
not to say that he didn't have his moments of. I definitely got a lot of Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, like New York, saying that's our Spider-Man. Like those kind of moments. I felt like what happened very often with where Falcon kind of just like saved the day in that one spot, and everyone saw it happen, and they're like, "Oh yeah," And so I thought it was great. I think the entrance for him was great. I will say, me personally, I felt like I was a little scrambled with what was going on with the game plan between Sharon, Bucky, and Falcon, because they're like, oh, there's this one guy, and we already know he's part of the one people, one world. So I'll take that guy, and Falcon, you take care of the guy up there. But then like Bucky gets in on a phone call. Like, how did you guys feel about how all that was handled?
It was a little weird. I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of confused at some points. I was like, wait, who are they chasing again? Like,
Yeah,
like,
that's how I felt.
Who's chasing who now? And like there was scenes where like Bucky and Sharon were together, but then they weren't together, and then they showed up together, and I don't know. It felt a little weird.
The way I
Wasn't terrible, but-
see it, or the way I could feel that's explained, is I remember one of Carly's people gave the phone to Bucky, so that
Yeah.
phone already has the app, right? So he basically can read where they're going and read what they're saying on that app. So like they're using that app, and he has a phone that has that app too. Like Carly just kind of forgot that. She was like, wait a minute, he has one of the phones, right? So that's where I think that happened at the end, where they caught up to the other Flag Smashers. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you guys say that like, yes, when Sam came into the screen wearing the suit, he looked awesome, right? But it's kind of like when the episode starts, like the first thing you do is hear Sam's voice and say, "Oh, I'm on my way," and you see Bucky, and you're just like, okay, like where's the drama? Like I wanted a little bit more drama to it.
I don't
Like,
know.
Like, are you talking about like his like the entrance? Like his entrance, like, oh shit, like you wanted it to be a little bit more like a.
But don't get me wrong. I just feel with Sam, and I don't want to go too much because I wanna save it for later. But I just like, to me, Sam accomplished more of like proving people wrong and getting over doubt and getting the confidence of the people. He did all that, and that's great. And it was really good for like being told to us as a story. But like, what did he do that like kind of? What fights did he win? He didn't beat George's.
He did, but he had more pressing matters, so he like kind of.
Right, like, but that guy was keeping up with him the whole time. Like, I wanted him to at least knock him out and then get out. He didn't even knock him out. It was just kind of like, hey, I gotta go, and then through the like, he did cool shit. Don't get me wrong, he does cool stuff, and he does work the Falcon thing very well. And he saved the helicopter thing. That's cool. But like, I just want that little bit more of like, damn, he's really Captain America, right?
I feel like we get that in the movies. Like Cap lost a lot too. Like Steve Rogers' Cap lost a lot too. So I feel like Captain, this Cap, Sam. I feel like he'll shine in movies. He'll have he'll come into.
Yeah, because I feel like this episode wanted to portray more of him as a hero than him as like he can like fucking beat some people up, you know what I mean? Like it was more of like, okay, like when it comes down to it, like, can you save these fucking people when like when you fucking have to. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that, Gus. The thing, okay, the thing that I have like the smallest issue, is not a big issue, it's a small issue, is that yes, he could be portrayed as a hero, but in my mind, as a viewer, as looking at this, the way he fills the role of Captain America, it feels like anybody can be Captain America. Like as long as you have the right heart into it and you have the right drive and motivation, anybody can Captain America. I want something that separates him just a little bit, because now he's like under the shadow of Steve Rogers, and now like yeah, he put his own take on it. Yeah, he's doing Captain America he's a black Captain America, but it feels like he's doing it as a like role, like he's just filling a role instead of.
I think I don't know. You might need to have some reflection on what Captain America signifies and what Steve Rogers thought that role signifies. Steve Rogers was a regular dude, and yeah, he has super serum now, but what it means to pick up the mantle means the person, not the power. And I think what you need to reflect on with that is that he's filling a role because that's the point. Anybody can be Captain America as long, but the struggles of being Captain America is how you face adversity and how you face issues and how you overcome them without you losing yourself to temptation or losing yourself to self-doubt and all of that, and having the weight of a lot of people's hopes and dreams on your shoulders. And Sam says that in this one, and even Isaiah Bradley says it to him. He's just like, you are special, and he's like, yeah, I know, and I got a lot more to do for people.
He definitely says that. What I think is, what you're missing the point is, you go back to the first Avenger, and you go to that scene where Captain America, and they tell him, don't go to that base. They're a lost cause to get all the POWs out, and he's like, no, I'm gonna go, and he goes in there, rescues all the people, brings them back. And that's when Bucky's like, oh, let's give it here for Captain America, right? Whatever, right? Like, that's right there shows that he's a special kind of person. But
that was in a movie.
Okay, I know this is not a movie, but this is your one thing to kind of show. Like, it's like you're saying, well, WandaVision is not a movie, so Scarlet Witch shouldn't have done anything. But Scarlet Witch busted out, said the name Scarlet Witch, and pretty much bodied Agatha, did her own spell thing, countered her, and was able to
it's harder to compare Wanda, one of the strongest mutants in the entirety of the comic universe, to Sam, who's a regular guy with no serum. A human, yeah. So it's like,
he's a human.
Yeah, he's a human, and he's fighting against people who are superhuman. All those Flag Smashers have superpowers. So
I don't know about that, because he's been in Winter Soldier, he's been in Civil War.
Yeah, but he was fighting humans in that.
Okay, that's fine, Brawley. Yes, I agree with you, but he also had people on his team that had superpowers. So it wasn't like the whole Avengers and Civil War and all that was just Falcon. Like, he had help. So it's not. You're finally being able to see what he can do in a one-on-one scenario, and if you put him up against the super soldier, it's gonna take time for him to adjust his human body to fighting people like that in a one-on-one scenario.
That's why
he's in a room with a super soldier, and he's having trouble, and he's even like calling out to Bucky like, yo, you need to hurry the hell up, man.
Yeah.
Like,
the French guy didn't have super serum. He's a regular ass guy.
Yeah, but he beat Cap too. Like, that guy's he's like crazy, adept level fighting guy.
Right, but Captain America still beat him. That's what I'm saying. Captain America still beat him, and I know he doesn't have super serum. I get it, but at least give me something like that where he knocks him out for a little bit, or gains some kind of event. It's like he threw a chair and it collided with the shield, and then it kind of like clanked. And I'm just like, what? Like,
well, okay, we can go into this more later on, but I think we should probably move on to the next part of the episode. So we have Sharon and Bucky were tracking their own people, and Sharon puts a tracker on the guard that ends up leaving. Well, I thought initially it was a tracker.
Too.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, that was
too.
so smart. She put it on him to like find out where he's gonna go. And then the next scene, you got this guy deteriorating in his goddamn car. Yeah, and and again, like that was like a double whammy of making me think something and then it actually not being that. So at first I was like, oh, she's tracking him and they're gonna find out where they're leading the people. But then we find out he's dead. I'm like, that's the first, fake out. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, like Sharon's doing some bad shit, and she's probably gonna lie about it. She's probably saying like, oh yeah, he got away, or oh yeah, I got him tracking, but it's acting weird, or something like that. But then, but instead she was just like, no, yeah, he's deteriorating, and I was like, god damn.
No, he says that he took him out. And Sam's like, how'd you do that? And then she doesn't really answer.
No, she does. She's like, oh, use
him.
Does she?
Yeah, she tells him. She's like, oh, just, a chemically induced, like, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's right. She mentioned the vapor. You're right.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie. When that happened, I was like, oh, she's a power broker.
I knew something was wrong.
That was the moment I found out, because I was like, yo, how the fuck did she have access to technology like that, dog? Like, she has a fucking thing that looks like a track. That shit was smaller than a quarter.
Well, I mean, I think for me, it wasn't. I mean, this is just me personally. I think that wasn't my turning point where I'm like, oh, she's a power broker. But I think that was something that was like, this is Sharon. That's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sharon. This is Sharon that's lived in Madripoor forever. So for a long time. And so I think for me, I didn't really let that click that, oh, she's a power broker, because it made sense that her character, where she's at now in her life, has that kind of like capability. And especially after the scene that we saw where she just beat like a couple episodes back when they were talking to the guy who made the new serum, that whole fight scene that she had, like, yeah, Sharon's like a different person now, basically.
Yeah. I to me, honestly, when she showed up, I was like, oh, something's up. Because she was in Madripoor, she was chilling, she was making money. She was like, I'm not gonna go until I get a pardon, basically.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's in America, in New York, where everything's happening. I'm like,
yeah, access to all this technology. And I don't know. That was, to me, that was a very big red flag, because it was a really big turning point for her character, like you said, right? Like, she's so known for like her Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sharon. So like seeing her literally melt a dude, I was like, okay, like, I don't know. That was the moment to me. I was like, oh, yeah, she's definitely.
So yeah, I mean, so basically, from the point where Captain America shows up and starts fighting GSP and his character, all the way up to the vaporizing of that one guy in the car, and Bucky tracking down these guys on a motorcycle. It's just action. The show is just basically saying, like, this is the final stand between these three parties. And then I thought it was great, but then it was handled kind of weirdly. But I still thought that there was moments that was awesome. But I just thought it was great that Bucky shows up and he's taking on these super powered people. Obviously, the villain play here is like, here's a superhero. Let's get some people in trouble and distract him, because he can't just let them let them just die. And so that happens, but then you hear you hear Morgenthau, and I was like, oh shit! And in my head, I was like, oh, please be the black suit with the red stripes, and it wasn't. But he did have his little rinky-dinky shield, which surprisingly held up a little bit.
Worked.
Worked. Home Depot came through. Yeah, Home Depot came through. He got the highest quality of Home Depot supplies for that shield.
I don't know how the fuck. Yo, that shit looked mad whack when he was building that shit, man. I don't know how the fuck that shit looked.
But so he shows up and he has his moment where he's just kind of. I thought again another kind of moment in the show where I was like, this is where this is gonna go, and then it didn't. But he kind of like starts fighting, and then they're getting the upper hand over him, and they all start jumping him, but he's like looking at his shield, and he's like seeing his medal, and he's like, I even said it out loud, I was like, for honor. Like, I must prevail. Because he ends up getting like a second win there, and he like gets up and starts like, I love this one moment where Carly goes up and she like kicks his chest or like punches him, and he just like stands there and looks at her and just takes it, and I was like, damn, okay, Walker. What would you guys feel about that whole sequence? Did you like the action in that? Did you like the moment between him and Carly fighting?
Oh yes. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna sound weird, but I actually dig John Walker's character the most in this entire show.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you. Not weird at all. I agree with you.
And to hear him like come back and like kind of redeem himself a little bit was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so dope.
It definitely felt like, for me personally, it felt like there was something missing in between the talk that he had with Val in the last episode to now. It felt like it was just weird that Bucky and him were teaming up, and then he like, oh, you quoted Lincoln, really? You know, like that happens later in the episode, but it just felt like there was something, a stepping stone from Walker redeeming himself to you know, being buddy with Bucky, at least in that one moment.
Right.
Especially after how intense the beginning of the last episode was. But Golden in the chat said he wants to point out something. When Carly was saying kill the hostages in the worst case scenario, the others legit hesitated. Yeah, that's true. She says one world, one people, and no one says anything, and she's like, say it. super.
She gets all fucking pissed.
She gets
dude.
super defensive, and she's like, say it, and they're like, one people, one people,
Yeah,
one people.
Yeah, with Carly, it's weird. Well, going back to John first. Yeah, I mean, I think what we needed, like that missing part, was Val's phone call, right? She was kind of like, the best thing you're ever gonna do is pick up the phone call when I call you.
Mm-hmm.
And we just never got that. He just kind of appeared, and you know, he hesitated. He was first, you know, wanting to kill Carly, and that was it. And then he had the decision to make to save people, and he finally snapped out of it and started helping people, and that's where his transition came from. You know, from being, you know, bloodthirsty, I want to avenge Lamar, to, you know, hey, wait a minute, I need to think about the people first.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, Bucky saw that and was like, all right, you know, this guy's trying, and you know, so and so. So like, I think that was good.
Going to that one moment. So I mean, Bucky didn't really see it because Bucky was down below fighting the guy with the huge ass fucking metal like metal beam. But they look up and they see the car, and I legit in my mind, and then I even said it out loud, I was like, "There's no way Bucky's catching this fucking car coming down on him," because he looks up at it and everyone, like, it's like an open clear, like. It's just him looking up, and the other guy moved back, and I was like, "There's no way this guy's gonna catch a fucking car." And then, but yeah, so I like that moment because it harkens back to when Battlestar tells John, like, "Oh, you've always made great calls in the heat of the moment," and so you kind of, I wish they had like a small little clip or maybe just like a little voice line kind of echoing in his head of him saying that, because you have that hesitation, like he sees Carly on one side. And he sees the truck or the van falling slowly on the other side. So it's cool that he runs over and he actually starts, you know, pulling it back up. Yeah. And then yeah, the flag smashers start going down and starting to stop him from doing it. And then that's when Falcon shows up. And it was cool because it ended up working out to where we got to see more Falcon's tech. He's there boosting. He's picking up. That's what I love about the implementation of the wings, is that it shows here's his take on Captain America, and yeah. I don't have the super serum, but I have jet thrusters on my back, and I've got many, you know, red wings that are gonna also help, and so he ends up essentially, quote unquote, lifting that van back up on top of the little beam support line that was there. And I thought it was a great scene because right after that he comes back down, and then we've got Bucky, Walker, and and Sam all pitted up against Carly, and then we have a little bit of a back and forth where she's like, "Oh, you really stooped that low, or you're really choosing this side, or something like that." And yeah, I think all of that. It's like it's hard to go over all of these little moments because it's true. It definitely feels like there's a lot of in between that it was either cut or a lot of things that were just not implemented properly with the stepping stones between each scene. But man, the dialogue in this episode was really good.
It was.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of
A lot of questions got answered.
yeah, a lot of questions definitely got answered.
Like there was a lot of closure in the.
I mean, they had to, right? I mean, you kind of think I mean, I don't know if there's gonna be a season 2. I mean,
I don't think they're gonna do that. I mean, maybe, but I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. I think these are just like. I have a feeling these are just like spin-off series.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like just like
yeah, I mean,
one-offs.
I can maybe see it happening. I can maybe see a season 2 happening, but it probably won't be as deep rooted and as like soulful, I guess, like as impactful to like a more emotional level. I think it'd be more so about espionage and more so about world building.
When we first saw this trailer for this show, I was like, it's gonna be whatever. You know? So they committed to this, so I will say there was just there's definitely characters that I just felt like I needed more time with. I didn't like the way they ended the character arc for Carly. I felt like she was the weakest out of the show.
I mean, so yeah, we can kind of get into that. So basically, after the fight unfolds, GSP's character comes down and starts shooting smoke grenades or something of the sort. And Falcon's goggles actually pick up the footprints, which was awesome. Another great look at his new suit, the tech for it, and all that. And he's like, this way, and that's when Bucky and Walker end up parting ways with him. But then we get the scene with Sharon and Carly, and Carly says, "I'm disappointed in you," and Sharon says, "That's something I should say." She puts her gun down, or at least puts her hands up, and we basically get the reveal that she's the power broker. And GSP's character comes in and says like, "Oh, so you're the power broker? You're gonna pay me 4 times the amount of what you said," and Sharon ends up taking him out, saying, "I don't do blackmail." But within that moment, Carly shoots Sharon in the abdomen at the same time. So GSP's character, all the way back from the beginning of Winter Soldier to now, his character's gone, and I mean, I feel like given it felt like as much as people want to say it's like a celebrity role or something like that. Like I think he fit that was his piece in the MCU world, and it was fine. I think
he's a legit fighter. He's a UFC champion and all that stuff. So he definitely doesn't need stunt doubles or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure he does, but he could definitely do combat.
Yeah, and so yeah, how'd you guys feel about Sharon's reveal and how all of that whole scene unfolds? Because it does go on further to Sharon's shot on the ground, Sam shows up, all of that. How'd you feel it all went down?
I was kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, after it all happened, because we knew it was gonna happen, right? Like the power broker was gonna get revealed eventually. So that was one thing I was waiting for the entire episode. I was like, they need to reveal who the power broker is. And so when it happened, and the way it happened, with the whole scene where Sam shows up and like they have that altercation and blah 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 blah. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about how that whole situation went down, because I am not a fan. I don't like when things like that happen, when it's like, oh, the only person that knows that that's the power broker is Carly and what's his name?
George Xavier.
Yeah. So like they're the only two people that know that that's the power broker, and they're both dead. So it's like, like, I mean, it's cool because it sets up for like more stuff, right? But like, you kind of get tired of the whole like cat and mouse thing, especially when like we've literally watched cat and mouse of like 6 whole episodes, and like each one being almost an hour. So it's kind of like, in my opinion, I feel like they should have cut like the power broker's story and like this whole background. I feel like it should have ended here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I felt initially, I always had the feeling that the power broker was something that was going to be leading to more in the future. I feel like it played out the way I thought it was going to play out. I just didn't know it was Sharon. I thought it was going to be something else. But I feel like whenever you have TV show villains, you always have a villain that's underneath them. Because then that lets them get away and lets the villain underneath them take the fall. And that lets them have, another... It's like, I don't know, it's like, think of like Ninja Turtles, where you have Shredder as the main villain, but then he sends in Bebop and Rocksteady. So it's like,
I'm not like disappointed in it. Like, I understand why they did it, right? Like, they want to keep the character around. Like, Sharon is like she's a staple character in the Marvel Universe, knowing that now she is like behind, knowing that she has a different agenda and who she is and stuff like that is going to be, it's going to make for more additions in like the movies and the series that come out. Like, she's going to be a part of like those stories in the background or main whatever. My thing is that like, it's kind of like this. It's like you want, like, I'm gonna sound so weebish, but like, dude, it's like watching an anime and like you have like this whole thing of like, who the bad guy is, and like you're watching the like main character try to figure out who the bad guy is and play this like cat and mouse game all fucking series long, and you're like, oh my god, hurry up. And then like there's finally a hint that like, oh, there's gonna be the end to the climax, right? Like, fuck yeah, like she's gonna, like, bad guy's gonna get caught, the main guy's gonna like do the shit, but then like they get away, and now we have to have like a whole nother season of like them playing like cat and mouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
Golden kind of says it here. He says, he thinks that you're just tired of that story cliche. Like,
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
And
because it's not bad. It's just it's not bad. It's just like eventually it does get tiring.
I would have been happy. I mean, the only reason I'm disappointed is because I wanted it to be Ross. I wanted it to be Thunderbolts. I wanted it to go into that direction, and not Sharon. Because honestly, like, if we could go back, if we really wanted to go back in episodes and pick apart and analyze Sharon throughout the series, some of the shit doesn't make sense. Like, if she was a power broker, right? You gotta remember from the first episode, sending the text to Carly saying, I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna kill you, right? But then they're all in the same place. She has a satellite on her. She's tracking her. And what you would think is like, oh, if I'm the power broker, the only thing I really give a damn about, I don't care about Sam, I don't care about Bucky, I don't care about everybody, just get me the serum. That's all I want. And she doesn't mention it one time. The serum breaks. John Walker injects himself. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't even care about John Walker. She doesn't even try to like recruit him. And I get it, like, right? She's trying to cover. She's not trying to blow her cover, but nobody raises an eyebrow that she's in New York. Nobody says a thing about her being able to just, oh, I got this mercury vapor. Like, I get it. They're in the middle of a fight, and they trust her because she went through some shit, but it just seems like she could have been fine as Agent Carter. She could have been just Agent Carter from now on, right? In the future, yeah, you're just like your aunt, whatever, right, Peggy? But now she's got to be both Agent Carter and the power broker, and you're gonna like not have it for someone else that it could be useful for. I don't know. Like,
for me, I feel what you're getting at, and Golden says no. Sam called her there. He legit says at the beginning, I called for backup. I don't know if I would have to double check to make sure if that's true, because he says I called for backup, but then Sharon shows up, and then I think Falcon says like, Oh, is that Sharon? I hear. So I don't know if he knew that she was going to be there or not.
I don't know if that was it or
Yeah,
not.
I'm not sure who he was referring to when he says I called her back up. It might have been Sharon, but I would have to double check on that exactly. But either way, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Brawley, and I definitely agree that it's a little bit. I definitely feel like the two weakest points in this entire show, now that we have it all, resolved and everything, is the Flag Smashers and the Power Broker. And
Yeah.
that's not great because those are the two villains of the show. And
Right.
but honestly, what made the show great was the emotional dialogue between the characters that we know and that we love, and the ones that we got introduced to that are very that stand out, like Isaiah Bradley. Um, but yeah, I just think Sharon's position. I personally have always felt like I love when the MCU takes inspiration from the comics, but then I also love when they take bold moves of doing something different. And
Yeah.
you take a character that everyone's like, oh, this is what the character does, and this is what they're known for, but then they change it. And it's not for the sake of subverting expectations, but it's also just like, it could be very calculated stuff that leads to better things later that doesn't really pan out now. But I do think that in this initial taste of Sharon's turn and how she's gone from here to there, from where we saw her in Civil War to now, I think it started out very interesting with how badass Sharon was with fighting and kind of having this confidence and not really being burned by the country and not really giving a shit anymore. I liked that dynamic, but then all of this it definitely feels rushed. And I know I remember reading somewhere that I know that a lot of the Flag Smasher stuff got kind of written down or like cut because of the pandemic, which sucks. COVID's fucking COVID fucked up a lot of shit for a lot of people, and but overall, I think yeah, I wanted there to be more girth to, or more, just more in general, everything to the way they handled the Power Broker reveal, the way they handled like Carly's death in this episode was very like fight back. Like I was making jokes that it felt like the first Pokemon movie where Pikachu's fighting Pikachu and like the other Pikachu didn't want to fight back, and it kind of it was
It
on
felt
the,
like that.
it
It
was
felt like that.
it was on the same kind of coattails of the Winter Soldier movie where Captain America didn't want to fight Bucky because that was his way of saying like we don't have to do this. There's another way, and I
Like,
understand what Sam was trying to do, huh?
why does she need Sam to fight? Like that. What I didn't. That's what I didn't understand. Why does
Because
she?
I think my take on why she needs Sam to fight back is because she needs she what the show's been trying to kind of convey and kind of make us believe was she has self-doubt and she has second guesses behind her actions at all times, and Sam is the only one that's been able to kind of push through and make that come to realization a little bit easier whenever they're talking to each other. So I feel like Sam is trying to do that again in this moment when they're fighting, and he's trying to evade her punches, trying to wear her down and make her talk, make her think, make her second guess herself again, and she's just shouting out like fight back, because she wants justification with throwing punches at him. Because I just feel like
But she.
I love the dynamic between Sam and Carly, but I just don't like Carly by herself because she just doesn't. She just becomes very villain from a cartoon villain rather than like somebody who is justified with her sudden change in tone and becoming more violent, becoming more I don't give a shit about if people die or if I die. This is for the cause.
I'm
And
not. I'm not gonna lie. She became a very annoying character at the end.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Like it was like I every time she came on screen and like just started talking and like spewing the same crap that she's been spewing for the past like 5 episodes. I'm just like, okay,
she
like,
never, she
get
never
it,
gave us,
dude. Like,
she never gave us a chance to like. Oh, I feel for her. Like it never felt that way ever.
No,
Like
I think it did. Whenever her the Mama Dow person died or whatever they called her, that was the moment when Sam and her were talking, and Sam was getting through to her before John Walker interrupted, that was where I was like, okay, I understand. And Sam says it too, like, I understand this fight. I understand what you're fighting for. You're just doing it wrong.
Like,
And
I need to see something. I don't know if if I had the same argument last episode or not, where I need to see something that was wrong by her. Like, of course, there's GRC, and they painted this picture about the GRC moving people and the Patch Act. And I get it, right? Like the vote and moving people because of the blip. But I needed to see like soldiers pushing people, or kicking kid, or abusing them or whatever. Like, I never saw that. All I saw was Carly fucking bombed some people.
Mhm.
Carly,
well, you have to also understand that Carly's a teenager, and Sam says it in this when he's doing his speech. He's just like a insane god, which he's referencing Thanos, or a misunderstood teenager, which he's referencing. He's referencing her. So like, yeah, you have to also understand it's a younger person given so much power, and it's not you over radicalize things in your head when you're a kid or when you're younger, and you kind of like, go all balls to the wall with whatever you're passionate about. And I think that's what Sam was trying to do. Was she's young, she doesn't know, and she's acting on impulse and acting off of emotion, and I need to try to help calm her down and dissuade her from what she's trying to do. And while we didn't get in our face like this is what the world did to me and One World, One People, we do get a lot of cliff notes and a lot of like extra dialogue for even in Sam's speech at the end of the show, where he's saying like, you need to do better, Senator, because you're saying thug and you're saying it's a terrorist and all that stuff, but why are they terrorists? Why are they thugs? What's the reason why they're doing that stuff? You don't want to ask that question. You just want to place the blame. And so since we don't see it in the forefront, we don't see army people going in and raiding homes and telling people to get out and making them homeless. We know that happened, and it's just more of a kind of like go off of what is kind of like a hush hush, like no one wants to talk about it, but they know it's wrong, but it's for the quote unquote greater good of the people of the of the country. And I mean, I think that's why I think the dialogue shines the most in all of these episodes, because there's a lot of depth behind a lot of what people are saying to each other. It's just the blocking of the scenes and the way that the things are acted out and how things unfold could have been better. And of course, just the I don't know, the Flag Smashers just didn't really hit the landing for me. And I would honestly, like, we're kind of jumping around here at the end, but for me, I was so surprised. I thought it was funny, but I was also surprised. And again, another moment in the episode where it was like a major, faked me out. I thought we were going to see more of the Flag Smashers in the future, but then we end up finding out they got bombed by Zemo's butler, so Zemo's in jail still getting W's. And I just, man, that scene where Zemo's listening and then he just smiles and lays on his bed. I was like, come on, dude, like this guy, he's like,
I'm always winning.
I literally, I saw him lay down holding the book and I was like, is this fucking like Light from Death Note, dude? Like he had a plan before a plan for a plan, and it was like, goddamn.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously his whole message and his whole thing was, I don't want anybody with Soldier Serum or Super Serum anymore, and he knew he could let them live, and somehow he knew what car to bomb. I guess, I don't know. That was weird.
Well, I think it was just more so like plans he had set in place with his butler or something. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just kind of like, hey, you need to keep a tab on this. You need to understand what's happening, and if they get captured, you need to find out what car that is and get it done, get the deed done. I don't know, something like that sense. It's just off-screen magic wave of the hand that
It's a lot of off-screen magic. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that's fine with me. Like if it's just things like that where it's like, I don't need everything broken down for me on screen for it to be viable, but I also don't need them to rely too much on off-screen magic. So
yeah, remember that's what we complained about for the prison break. It was all a lot of off-screen.
Well, no, it was on screen, but it was just kind of like, oh, hypothetically, if he did this and then this and then this and then this, that could happen maybe, and that ended up being the case. So, you know, but again, like if it's a TV show and they're trying to speed it up and they want to give us, you know, the forefront of what the message is and what the action is, then I'm fine with that. And
Yo, can we point out how Bucky called him Cap?
Yep. Yeah, it was good. I mean, Bucky.
I literally was like, oh, he called him fucking Cap.
Yeah.
I was like freaking out. I was like, oh shit.
I honestly think that yes, the moments where Sam saves the day here or saves the day there, or he like covered that one guy or saved those two people from the helicopter. All of those moments help the people of the world of the MCU see him as the new Cap. Me personally, as a viewer watching the show, Bucky was the gateway for me to kind of realize that's my new Captain America, you know, because that's the way he sees it. It's just like he's listening to the talk that he gave him when they were playing catch with the shield in the last episode, and then the whole, you know, boat montage thing, and then also the speech that he gives at the end of the show. It's just all of that, you're seeing it through what Bucky sees, and it's just like that's easier to grasp than it is the random person being like, that's Captain America, you know. I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
Let's remember, you know, from the beginning of the series, Bucky already knew that Sam was Captain America. It's that Sam didn't believe he was Captain America, and he gave the shield away. So this is more about Sam reaffirming himself or gaining that confidence to say, yes, I'm Captain America.
Yeah.
Bucky kind of knew, but he kind of knew only because Steve chose. So this kind of like him just seeing it for himself. Obviously, they developed a friendship, and you know, Bucky kind of gained a family because, you know, his biggest worry is that he has nobody left, and that was very touching that he finished his book and left it with the therapist, and he was able to go and, you know, hang out with Sam because now he has people there. Now he has people to rely on, and you know, it's not like he's alone anymore, which is his biggest struggle from the beginning of the series.
Yeah, and we even got a small little moment when he saved that truck on fire, where he like ripped open the door, and the guy walks, like, you know, hops out of the truck, and he's just like, thank you so much, you saved my life. And like Bucky kind of like looks a little shocked, and kind of like,
that was cool.
Yeah, it was a nice little moment where he's just like realizing, like, you know, I'm doing something, I'm making something up with my life here. And even after that, he starts fighting that one guy, he starts beating his ass, and I was like, damn, okay, Bucky, got your confidence back or something.
He even caught the knife, you know, that Carly threw at him.
Oh yeah, that shit was crazy. Carly like threw the knife at him, and he's just like caught it midair, and he was just like looking at it.
Yeah, that shit was cool too.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, it basically all of the, you know, tension ends with Carly and Sharon's thing. Carly dying and GSP dying, and the only tension we have left is, of course, knowing us as viewers, knowing Sharon's the power broker, while also the tension with Sam talking to all of the you know, I guess, council of the world or whatever. And so how did you what did everybody feel like? Do you think Sam's speech made a lot of sense? Do you think it made, you know, it made the right amount of like questions
impact?
To be raised? Yeah, the right amount of impact. I'll go first on this one. I think, me personally, I think it may be, when you hear a speech like that and it goes on and on and on, you know that they're trying to cover every base. You know what I mean? They're trying to hit every mark to make sure that there's nothing left out for discussion about, oh well, here's something that they could have responded with that Sam didn't have an answer to, or here's, you know, blah blah blah. So the speech definitely did that, where it was like, oh, I'm gonna bring this up and I'm gonna bring this up, but I'm also gonna question you here, and I'm not gonna let you answer that, but I'm gonna question you here and here, and then I'm gonna answer that question I gave you with another one. So like, he did all of that, but I still feel like it was a really good speech because there were moments where they responded to him saying like, "Oh, so are we gonna be fine with people coming back and to their family home that their family owned for years and years and years, finding strangers living in it, and we're gonna be okay with that? What are we gonna do?" And Sam stood there and said like, "Well, he didn't say anything. He don't really have an answer to that." But that's where he was just like, "We can't take the easy road to those. And you're giving me answers to those problems, but the answer you're giving me is at the expense of other people." And then he goes into like, it was rather one-sided, but a good speech, says Golden. Yeah, it was definitely one-sided, but I feel like Sam understood that his ideals of how the problems of the world should be handled are obviously like super naive and very like, oh, we should all do this together and come together as people. But it felt like the speech was a realistic look at problems that are genuine problems, and a realistic look at how to like make them a reality within what their capabilities. Because he was like, you could feed a million people with a phone call, and you could blah blah blah, and it's true. It's just he was calling them out on their bullshit, saying like, you just you think these things and you're capable of these things, but who's in the room listening to you say these things, you know? And you're worried about the people that are like you. So I thought it was a great speech. I thought it was very realistic, and it felt like just authentic. Yeah, this is the problem. Here's like, you know, a realistic solution to it that we could work with, and here's also a realistic way of calling you out on your bullshit. How did you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was needed. I think he needed to, because I mean, he was very much aware that everyone around the world was watching him at that moment. And I think he needed to say something to these people that was impactful and left a mark, and to show like, you know, hey, I'm not just like this John Walker guy who's just the yes man and does everything, you know, that the government tells me to, and war hero and blah blah blah, and you know, get people to realize like, hey, I'm like really really about this shit, and I'm really really for the people. And that was something that Steve, you know, was really big on.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed the people the part that was missing from what's his name, U.S. agent
John Walker.
Yeah. He showed the part that was missing.
That
would have made him a good Captain America.
Yeah, we gotta zoom in on Walker whenever he says like, "Oh, I can feel the stares and I can feel the judgment and all that." And people, I know people. There's probably thousands of people out there that hate me and don't want me to have this. And you have a zoom in on Walker, kind of reflecting on his own thoughts. And Solara says in the chat that was the moment where he established himself as Captain America. And I think the moment, it was at the beginning of the speech, at least for me, the moment that established him as Captain America was when all the you know, the senator and all those other people come up to him and they're kind of congratulating him and saying like, oh, you know, we're gonna do it right this time, and we're gonna make it better for you, and you know, all this other stuff. And then Sam immediately starts calling them out on their bullshit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where it was, because that's something Steve would do. Like, he would kind of,
exactly.
He's like, oh, you're praising me, cool, but I'm not happy with you. and I definitely enjoyed that for sure. Charlie, what about you?
I thought it was needed to show that Isaiah was wrong. I think he needed to show it in a way where he understands the struggle. His main message of that speech was everybody's struggling. It's a common struggle for the people of the world. That, you know, like, you think that I don't know about struggle, that I'm a black American, you know, holding the stars and stripes, that I'm not what you guys want me to be. Yet, you know, I'm still standing and fighting, and that's what I want you guys to do, is stand up and fight as well. That's basically his message.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Steve was ever that talking. I know he stood up for something, right? I know he stood up to Nick Fury in Avengers 1. I know he, was stand up to to Ross. When they were doing the Sokovia Accords. But I don't know if he would break out into a big speech other than maybe against Tony or something. But nothing like nothing that crazy. But I think it's something that I'm learning throughout this discussion is that Sam is not comparing himself to Steve. No, like we're not trying. He's not trying to be compared. He's not trying to fill in the shoes. This is his version of Captain America, right? Where this is more of a Captain America for the people.
Yeah.
For what they need him to be, and that's fine. That's fair. And that's why I like the speech. I did think it went a little too long. I did think it was like more of like a kind of like a debate, even though it was only one sided, or it was pretty much one sided. Which was like it was fine. It was a fine speech. It's kind of like what, like you said, it was just kind of filling all the little holes that there could be, and making sure we cover all the things we need to talk about, so that nobody could be like, well, why didn't they talk about this or that, right?
Yeah.
Like he brought it all up.
I think one thing that we're missing from this speech that was actually just before the speech that was such a huge moment was somebody, one of the paparazzi or one of the reporters, as Cap was walking down, said, "Oh, do we call you Captain Falcon now?"
Oh yeah.
And
I was with that.
And if you're a Nintendo fan, or if you're just in general a Super Smash Bros. Fan, Captain Falcon, it makes the most sense for his name. And I died laughing. Brawley died laughing when we heard one of the reporters or somebody saying Captain Falcon in the background, and oh my god, I really hope there's some sort of story to somebody at Marvel that said we have to do this.
Yeah,
perfect.
That was
perfect.
Full reference.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but after the speech, we get them walking away, and Bucky, of course, the whole bro code thing or something. He's just like, oh, I was writing something down, or I was texting somebody, so I just heard black man in the Stars and Stripes, and they look. Sam laughs, and they kind of just go into the ending of the show there, where we kind of drift into Bucky having his moment with the older man from the beginning of the show, and we have like both of those resolutions for Bucky with the old man, and even more so with Sam and Isaiah Bradley. Like, man, such emotion, such emotion.
Yeah, that was so amazing.
That actor, the actor for
the museum, that was so fucking amazing.
Yeah, the actor for Isaiah Bradley, like that guy, he really, you can just like, it just feels like it's real. Like, it feels like he went through that bullshit. Like,
that guy was a good actor.
Yeah, and it was sad and very just heart wrenching, and it was just I thought they were gonna go even further, and that they were gonna commemorate his whole crew, like his group of friends who all got injected with the different versions of the serum. But I mean, they had him up there, and I'm sure someone's gonna go and like get a screen cap of the actual plaque and what it says.
They didn't tease Elijah being Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
Like they teased every other Young Avenger. They got Taurus to be Falcon. They got the little kids to be the twins to be whatever, but they didn't give him any mention.
They didn't. But I will say this: I felt like they knew we knew.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. Like, it felt like Marvel they did stuff like where he had scenes where like he didn't really like say much, and like even at the end where they were like, where are we going, like with that whole scene where he was like excited to like go somewhere and like do something and shit.
Yeah, I feel like Eli was every single time they went to that house, Eli had lines, and he was like interacting with Falcon or Bucky.
Yeah.
If you would have just maybe like, I don't know, picked up the shield, or like at least looked at it and we saw him look at it, then I'd have been like, okay, that's a cool tease. Like, it's just a tease. They didn't do anything, so I was just kind of like, maybe they don't trust this guy will be the next Patriot. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
That
yeah,
could also be it.
it could also be, yeah, like casting wise and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like there was enough there to know, like, even whenever whenever he had lines in the captions, it says Eli, so we know it is him and all that other good stuff. And I just feel like there's enough there that we can, think back on it whenever we have more movies and more shows come out. But I feel like Young Avengers, there's too many pieces of the puzzle in play right now that we're gonna get it eventually.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah, I
happen.
mean, we'll get it, man.
Yeah. But so yeah, we have those emotional moments happen, and like Broly mentioned, Bucky gives the book um, to the therapist, and we kind of get that we get the big cookout that Bucky was invited to. So
yeah.
it was a good film, a feel good moment. Like they kind of celebrate their time with Sam's family, and Bucky has a connection with them, and it's just great to see. Like I just love that moment where they both just kind of look out in the distance, and they're just like, how where they started to where they're at now is just crazy. How it all fell together. But yeah, as Golden mentioned, there are a couple more scenes. There's one more scene that we need to bring up before the mid credit scene. But we do get a moment with Val and John Walker's girlfriend. They're there talking about how long it's taking Walker to get out, and then they're also talking about, oh, looks like the Flag Smashers problem got taken care of because she brings up the bombing announcement. And then we get the reveal, and it looks great. I mean, it's perfect, and I think it's hilarious that it is just a color swap. But and John Walker says it himself. He's just like, oh, it's black, like, okay. Yeah, all right then, and I don't know, it's something about John Walker's character and his actor. I just that moment where he's just like, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
back,
I'm back,
like,
baby.
yeah, I'm back, yeah. I just like it just comes off as like he's so B tier, but it's like hard not to like I don't know. It's a weird feeling with him. John, huh?
Very Ant-Man like.
Kind of, but it's more so just like it's like those characters in movies and TV shows that are like, oh, come on, let me at him, let me at him. Like I want to get in there. I'll prove it to you. I know I can do it. And then they get their moment and they'll do like one good thing and they'll never stop talking about it. And I don't know, like, there's just something about him where it just feels like he wants so badly. He's still there, like he just wants so badly to be on par with what people want him to be, and this is like the boost in confidence where he's like, oh man, I'm here, I'm the big man in charge, blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, his like I said, if we would have just gotten a little bit more of him, his arc would have been perfect. Still, like God said, he's my favorite
Yeah,
character.
he's
So
definitely my favorite character.
he's my favorite character. He definitely did his work. He definitely did his thing. But yeah, I like the U.S. agent thing. I mean, it kind of just seemed like, hey, he's gotta be the U.S. agent, right? Let's just say the name and that's it, and wrap it up, right? Wrap it up. Let's say the name and wrap it up. So it was just kind of like, I mean, it's a good, tie the loose end kind of thing. But I mean, I'm excited to see what he does in the future.
Hmm.
I popped off when he came out in the black suit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I
I was
definitely.
like, oh shit, that shit looks tight, son. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a perfect like anti-hero, dude. And
Yeah.
like not only does he play that role so well, he has gotten me to go from like really just despising this character,
Yeah.
like ugly death, like I hate you. I'm sorry. Like it was to the point where I compared him to like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like, dude, I legit I fucking hate you, but like you act and do your job so fucking well that like if you can portray that and actually make me hate your character, fucking good job, dude. Like fucking kudos. And then to make your character go from me hating you completely to, hey, you know what? that was a little bit of redemption. I still hate you, but what you did there was cool, and your outfit is kind of cool too. I still fucking hate you, but you're on your way. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was his character is awesome, and I think it was the best in the entire series in this entire season.
Well,
Yeah, it did feel like Solara said, it felt weird to kind of root for him at the end there, and it did because I spent the entire time of him being on screen, I fucking hated the guy, but he did not completely redeem himself, just like a tiny little fucking like he did some cool stuff, but yeah, I think he's gonna be a fucking super sick anti-hero uh coming up, and like whenever he makes an appearance again. And I'm really excited to see what they do with his character.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely glad that we're gonna see more of him, and then yeah, I mean that leads us to the mid credit scene, and we do get a court hearing or a court just gathering of the them talking to Sharon and basically saying like the Carter name has been known far and wide within the government, and it's always come with trust, and we this is long overdue, but we're going to offer you a pardon, and we're going to offer you your position in your own department back with us if you'd like. And Sharon pulls off a very convincing performance of just like very heartwarmed, and like, oh, I would love that so much, I'd be so honored and all that
Thank
stuff.
you. Oh my god, I'm so
Yeah,
thankful.
and soon as she turns around and she gives that little like sly kind of like look to the side, and then
got him.
we get a phone call of her saying like, oh, well, now we missed out on some super soldiers, which is definitely a thing, but we have all this extra U.S. Weapons and intel and technology and all yada yada. So I think we're fine, and get some buyers. And so we find out that she is up to no good, and she's gonna start some trouble in the neighborhood. And I again, I just think that the one line that kind of stood out to me whenever like there's some hope that I have for Sharon, and there's also some like theorizing in my head that I have with Sharon. But like the one line that stood out to me was when Carly was talking to her, and she basically said like, um, what was it? She's like, you just wanted to control the world that hurts you, and Sharon kind of takes a step back from that, and it's just something that comes down to like maybe to us in this form of media that they're handing us. Maybe to us, like it seems very rushed, and it seems like Sharon's just not really justified to have this huge turn in her character from where she was when we saw her in Civil War. But the mind and the psyche is such a very complicated thing, and when you're tossed into a world that you don't know how to survive in, and you have to force yourself to survive in, like shit can go haywire in there. And so I have a feeling that we're gonna have some sort of turning point for Sharon, where she's gonna also have that moment of like, there are good people on the other side that I'm fucking with, and I have second doubts of myself. But then there's also a whole aspect of maybe she's a fucking Skrull. We don't even know.
That could be. I could see that
Because
happening.
if they're setting up secret invasion, she could be a fucking Skrull for all we know.
I could see that happening.
I don't know. I mean, it's like you could say that about anybody.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can say that about anybody.
Oh yeah.
We went through like 7 movies thinking that was Nick Fury, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I thought about was that why would Skrull have the beeper to Captain Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like she's playing both sides. Like I definitely think, yeah, she has some interest because she wanted the super serum. But again, I'm just not sold. Like, yes, we know she's the power broker. I'm not sold on her. I need more. I need more than what we got, because to me, it was a cop out to call her power broker. Like to me, that's what it was. That's one of the things that's kind of like, like why her? Do someone else. Not
That's
her.
what I'm saying. I think if she
Give it
is a
someone else.
scroll, then maybe the actual Sharon is up in space or something.
Yeah, I mean that's
Because her character shift is very dramatic, so it's like I don't know that like it could be a possibility. And I think I mean obviously only time will tell, but I think I appreciate the resolute. Like it's so cool that we can't have the moment of a TV show of Isaiah Bradley, and we can't have like a movie of like that aspect of Captain America, but they fulfilled it and gave it a resolution and gave it a whole like depth and meaning and lore behind it all so well in this show. So that I love that Marvel did that, and it's such a great way of getting that all out there. And I have faith that this Sharon aspect and where they're doing with it can do better. And yeah, I totally agree with what a lot of people I'm sure are going to probably say. The Flag Smashers were probably the weakest part of this entire thing. And it's just unfortunate that it comes down to COVID, a lot of cuts, and then also just unfortunate decision making with how Carly's character, because like I mentioned, Carly's character, I was on board with her all the way up to that talk with Sam and her, and then Walker comes in and ruins it. Like all of that was great, and then after that she became very like, oh, we are the villains, so why not have weapons? And oh, we who cares if we kill a couple people? It's for the greater cause. It's gonna live beyond us. And it's like she became way too radicalized. And but people can say, oh well, Zemo was right. Zemo was right about he was too far gone. And I think there is something to be I guess respected in that sense that Zemo is right in his ways with super soldiers and what it can do to people, but he's also wrong with how Bucky turned out. So it's just a flip of the coin. It's just circumstance. It's all of that combined, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't, I guess.
Yeah.
But all right, any final thoughts on the show, on the episode, anything at all? Anything you want to point out? Anything you want to give reference to of, oh, they did this in episode 2 and now this one they blah blah blah. Anything at all? Anything you guys want to talk about?
The only thing I really want to talk about is how great how I just feel like just completely baited. Like I can't believe that this show was what it was compared to what I thought it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just it's mind-boggling to me. Like I cannot give it enough praise. Like comparative to how I thought it was gonna be. Like kind of like how you say one of those like buddy cop like funny show. Like I thought it was gonna be a comedy. I thought it was gonna be a comedy, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
It
I'd be lying if I told Brawley and I said like, oh, like me as a Winter Soldier fan and just overall I'm a big fan of just more grounded stories. I was super hopeful, but after seeing the trailers, I wasn't gonna be praising it or I wasn't gonna be saying, oh, everybody, you better watch this show. It's gonna be one of the best ever. Like I wasn't in that team. And the only unfortunate thing is, yeah, we're in a little bit of we're gonna be in a little bit of a drought because I think the next thing is Loki, and that's in like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brawley, do you have anything you wanted to say before we wrap it up and give our final scores?
It was just good acting all around. I mean, I enjoyed the show. I do have gripes with the show. I do have some small, minor things. I did feel at the end it was rushed. I did feel like to me, I felt, even though there's some redeeming moments, I felt like after the first Walker fight with Bucky and Sam, I felt like the show went downhill after that. But I think all in all, it did what it needed to do. It gave everyone its new roles. I do think Bucky's still in that. I don't know what the future is for him. Like it doesn't give him anything definite. Yes, he kind of overcame. like I guess it's so weird because like I know he has demons, and I know he has some things that he struggles with. But I go back and watch Endgame, and I see Steve leave, and I just felt like when he left, and when he gave the shield to Sam, I felt like, oh, okay, everything's good now, because you're supposed to believe that Bucky went to Wakanda to fix all this, to get the demons out, to overcome the Winter Soldier thing. And you're supposed to believe, oh, Steve gave Sam the shield. Like, it's your turn to take the mantle. And then you're just like, so why did we need this show? Like, why did everything kind of like, why did we take steps backwards? I get kind of Sam's point of view because maybe he just didn't feel comfortable, you know, and obviously him being a black man, he didn't feel comfortable, but like, he didn't really even bring up race. It was just kind of like, you know, seated in the show. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just felt like it was just like I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked seeing Bucky have the book and trying to amend, right? But it's like, why are you in therapy when you literally literally the reason why you went to Wakanda?
Well, no, I mean, I think you're missing the point that he went to Wakanda to get rid of the words, the trigger to activate. It wasn't to get rid of the trauma or the PTSD.
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. Well, yeah, but I mean, it still seemed like there was nothing that's gonna bring it back. Like, yeah, sure, he's gonna go through the trauma, but it just seems like
Because we knew in Civil War when he's fighting Tony and he asked him, "Do you remember them?" and he's like, "I remember all of them." We know that even if he didn't have the trigger in that moment, he would still have the very heavy weight of knowing that he killed innocents.
on the trip.
Huh?
That was before his.
I know. What I'm saying is, I'm giving you like like an example of like, oh, if the trigger wasn't active at that point of his life when he was in Civil War, he still would be having those demons and still having nightmares and still having those things, because when Tony says like, "Do you remember them?" he's like, "I remember all of them." And so it's like if you were watching someone take control of your body and you killed your mom, but then you wake up and you're like, well, my mom's dead and I did it, but I had no control. Like, you would have mental anguish, and if someone removed the trigger where that person didn't control you anymore, you would still have that anguish. So it's like Wakanda did the part of like, no one can control you now. No, they're not gonna awaken this like, you know, killer robot machine that they put in your brain from years of torture. But you're still gonna remember and have all this PTSD from those actions. So that's what he's trying to fix through therapy.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was just it just seemed like I would have been like it's not a necessary thing to see. Obviously, it's for a show, so we get all that. It was more of like I felt like this was kind of resolved by the end of Endgame. By Endgame,
I don't think so, because then people can easily say like, oh, so are we just gonna like, Bucky got a pardon from all the people he killed for years and years of being the Winter Soldier, and he's fine with that? Like, he's just being able to go get sushi? Like, people would say that if he just showed up in a movie later and he's just, you know, being a good guy now. So it's the perfect place to flesh out these side characters that aren't big time A-listers like Captain Marvel or, you know, Iron Man or Spider-Man, is in TV shows like this, I think.
Yeah, but he got sushi in the first episode.
Yeah, but he hated it, and he couldn't hold on to a date.
But no, but you're talking about him being pardoned, and I was like, all he had to do was go to therapy, and he was pardoned for all the killings and stuff.
Yeah, but who's to say that he doesn't put a gun in his mouth because of all the mental instability?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if he was ever that far. He had some weird moments. He did sleep on the floor. So
yeah.
like,
I mean, I just think mental health is a very, very tricky thing, because it's an unseen illness. You can't really pinpoint somebody who is going through something because they put on a facade whenever they're walking around.
It's good on the show to show off, you know, the problems of the issues of PTSD, of what veterans go through, of the racism that's going, systematic racism. So that's part of the show, and that's part of what the series wanted to show. They did a real good job of it.
Yep.
Again, I love the show. I really liked it. It surprised the heck out of me. Like I said, you compare it to WandaVision, and you're just like these, what is it? Cosmic beings level heroes versus here's these humans. Like normal people show, and how you're supposed to like top that. And I don't know if it would top it, but it definitely came really close. I think it came really close. So it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was such a good moment when they were having the face-to-face thing in the jail, where Solaris says, Bucky said, if Steve is wrong about you, then he's wrong about me. And turns out Steve was right about both of them, which is great. But yeah, just solid series. I guess we can get into our final scores. We can do a score for the episode itself, and then we can do a final score for everything. Goss, I'll let you take this one first. Just what'd you think of the episode, and then what'd you think for the show in general? Just what's the number calling out for you?
So for this episode, I will give it a 9 out of 10. I didn't have very many complaints. The only complaints that I had really were the fact that Flag Smashers and Power Broker were handled in such a very, honestly, almost sloppy way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give it a 9 because everything else about it was great. The ended great. I got a lot of closure with a lot of stuff. I got a lot of characters made. Like the scene with Zemo, we had characters that you thought were out of the picture that came back into the picture. It came back into the picture strong. So it definitely ended strong, and I really, really like that. As a series as a whole, I will give it a 9 out of 10 also.
Nice.
I think it's a fantastic series. I am definitely completely blown away because it was not what I expected. And when that to me means a lot, because I've seen so many movies and so many TV shows, so when you start to expect stuff, things get very boring. So when I saw the trailer for this, I had already had expectations for it, and they were exceeded in like every single aspect of what I thought. So that's a big one for me. And so I definitely gonna give the series as a whole a 9 out of 10 for sure.
Nice. All right, and Brawley, for you?
I think the episode itself was like a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. I think it was good. I think the endings was good. Everything got resolved pretty much. Same kind of points that Goss made. The Flag Smashers, Power Broker part were, kind of. The turning of John Walker was kind of fast and rushed. I think, at the end of the day, Sam did his thing. I liked his new look. I liked the scenes that he was in. Him saving the people from the helicopter was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I really, really like I like the dynamic of Winter Soldier and the new Captain America. I really like them two together, and so Marvel did a really good job with them. As for the series, I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5. It was really good. It was getting to the 9/10s. For the first 4.5 episodes, or 5. I guess like the first, like four episodes for sure. It was climbing. The first one was kind of weird, and then the middle was just my favorite part. Just having Zemo there was amazing. Having the Wakandans come in and just kind of like show how badass the fight scenes. The fight scenes in this show was really good, better than WandaVision for sure. Obviously because it's more realistic. Points they made, the themes they hit were much better. But I did feel like the pacing of the show was kind of especially because it's 6 episodes. So and obviously if it's because of the pandemic, then that's what sucks. But at the end of the day, I think they did a really good job. Just kind of didn't stick the landing for me. But 8.5 for me for the series.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, just echo chamber in this freaking last episode. I think, yeah, I liked a lot of what happened. There was a lot of really great closure to some characters, and overall, I give the episode itself like probably an 8.5, or probably like an 8. I want to say, because I did wish things kind of unfolded a little bit better or a little bit more, in a more impactful way. But it leaves the door open for a lot, and I'm excited to see what is going to come from both Sharon and John Walker in the future. And I mean, I don't want to undermine just other things that could stem from this because of the raft, because of Zemo being there, because of the whole scrolls being a thing in the world that we don't really know have a good grasp on yet. But yeah, I think overall the series, I want to give it a 9 out of 10. I could see myself coming back to this and watching certain parts of the episodes. I could see myself looking up certain scenes on YouTube like I do with other great Marvel movies. And I just, it exceeded my expectations. And I think, as I was along for the ride for it, I wanted it to kind of have this big moment, but it's, it's a small piece to a huge part of Phase 4, and I think it served its purpose really well. And we just got to see the, stems from this series, how they grow into what they want to grow into for the rest of the phase, and hopefully it pays off. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So it was a 9 from me, and Brawl, you said 8.5?
8.5 for the series, yeah.
And Gosh, you said it was a 9 for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have got a 10 out of 10 for me, but at the end they said Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and I was thinking it was going to be Captain America and Bucky Barnes, but that makes me wonder. I did mention, I'm like, it's interesting that Falcon got his name bumped up to Captain America, but Winter Soldier's still there. So I'm very curious about that. I'm wondering if, he's going to keep being the Winter Soldier for something.
I mean, what else are you... I don't think they're gonna call him Bucky Barnes. It's not like he...
That's what it was called when he first appeared in the comics.
But, no, because he was James...
Yeah, he was his sidekick.
Barnes, that's what it was. Buchanan, right? James Bucky Barnes.
Oh, yeah?
No, I mean, they're not gonna call him Sam Wilson, so... I don't know. I hope they do something. I mean, it's up in the air, man. Marvel.
They should have just said Captain America and the Summer Soldier. There you go.
They could have, or they could have said Captain Falcon and
Summer Soldier. Yeah, that'd be perfect. But all right, guys, I think that's pretty much it for us. Amazing end to the show. Like we said, things could have been better, but that's almost with every form of media. There's always something that could have been better. Overall, great series. Definitely recommend you watch it if you're a Marvel fan. Again, thank you so much for Brawley and Goss for being with me through all of these different episodes and being up so late doing this. I don't know if it's confirmed, but like I said, I do want to continue discussions for more things that come out, both be it Marvel, DC, whatever. And Mortal Kombat comes out tomorrow. Well, today.
I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, so if you guys want to do discussion for that, and anybody who's here, if you guys want to jump in for the call, it's going to be a one-shot because it's just a movie. It's not a series or anything. So if you watch it tomorrow, and if you want to hop in the call and just kind of chat it up, then we'll try to schedule something tomorrow. I know I am streaming near Replicant tomorrow, so it might have to happen after that stream. But I do want to watch it since it's coming out. Basically, now it's already the 23rd, so today. But all right, that's a send off for now. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody who's in the chat live. I know it's super late, but I appreciate all of you. And again, thank you to you guys for being here and discussing nerdy shit with me.
Hell yeah!
All right, have a good night, everybody.
I honestly can't wait for Loki. I can't wait for Loki, dude.
Yep, Loki's next, and we got Black Widow coming out. We got the MODOK series coming out. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. So very, very cool stuff. But all right, everyone, take care. Peace.
Later.